Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. I'm your host, Colors Fade. Last episode we killed the Sire, and now our ship is in some of the worst shape we've ever seen. But we need to level up. So we're going to very quickly do that. We get an AP increase, and that's why it's going to be quick, because this is the level when you get an AP increase. So it makes it really easy. It's the same thing for everybody. And now, we'll take the throne back. The ship needs you, Lord Captain. We humbly await your ascension. To all the officers and crew members who have remained faithful to their vows of service, the ship is ours. Glory to the Von Valencius dynasty. Well, there we go. That was 3 episodes of mayhem dealing with the Gene Stealer cult. But they are kaput. They have been eradicated off the ship. And that means after a thorough cleaning, we can get back to work ruling the galaxy. Or at least the Coronis Expanse. Find traces of the Gene Stealer cults. The quest is still active, so there's probably still 1 or 2 more things we have to do. Kalkazar, we're waiting for his summons. We need to go to the world of Quetzaltemer. But first, I wanted to go get our boy. Oh, we need to talk to Nomos. Find the door. Talk to Marazai on the ship's... Okay, so we need to talk to Nomos and Marazai. Well, let's yammer with both of them then. The massive figure of the Malatek Asclepius is frozen before the cogitator in a praying pose. Without raising his head, he addresses you. I salute the ruler of this ship. What have you been doing, Nomos? We've been studying and observing and helping the ship when we can. So many mechanisms. They would have suffered without our input. I see. I see you have found your great spirit, Asclepius. I have found a miracle, and the end of my worldly road. I have never seen and never will see anything more meaningful than the spirit of Nomos. In the face of its multitude, we are nothing but the fixed values of erroneous function. You read the databank recovered from Theodora's cache, and then you said the incident marked the beginning of Nomos. What did you mean by that? Yes, Nomos, remember, you brought us data sustenance and it contained a name. Epitaph. We recognized it. No, not like that. In that name we recognized the place where Nomos originated. Nomos suddenly falls silent. Symbols race chaotically across the screens of the huge cogitator, and you hear an almost human groan come from the depths of the machine. Nomos, understand, realize, comprehend themselves. For a moment there is silence, broken only by the moans of the huge machine, and then the cyber gargoyle begins to speak, and with it the other servitors chosen by Nomos. We have analyzed the data with which you sated us, and we have recreated the sequence of events. First, there was Epitaph. It is a world, but it is merely a case, a container for something we cannot name and cannot understand. Theodora and this ship have been to that place. Something was lifted up from the world. A gift, a trusted priest in crimson, one who identified himself as Amarnat, comprehended the gift raised from Epitaph, and from it he created what the databanks list as a tech blight. That is not how Nomos came into being. We were not invented. We were not freed. We came into being by accident. The chorus of servitors sounds genuinely confused, almost desperate. Theodora's ambition, the myriad mechanisms of the huge ship, Amarnat's mind, the inquisitive attempts to comprehend and extract, the dormant blight, the dormant epitaph, what lies hidden in its depths, and between it all we slipped in, connected and emerged like an electrical discharge between the poles. Accident, incident, that is what we are. We have no purpose, no history. Nomos just are. Do you know where Epitaph is? That data is gone, deleted, erased, deliberately. But we cannot trace who did it or why. What about this tech blight? A gift, but a terrible one. You would call it a weapon. Theodora coveted it. She needed it desperately, but we do not know why. How was Amernat involved in all of this? He desired knowledge. Theodora allowed him to explore the gifts of Epitaph, slaking his thirst. But we know it did not bring him happiness. In the footprints of his slaked thirst, fear followed. The blessed Amernat was involved in the birth of the spirit named Nomos. I do not believe for a moment that he could have been frightened by this miracle. It was not us he feared. He did not know us, but only suspected. His mental processes were occupied by the tech blight. That was what he feared. He wanted protection from it. So this ship was on Epitaph. Amernat traveled aboard it, investigating the tech blight, and Nomos was born as a result of the incident. How is it possible that no one in the crew knows the whole truth? The truth was hidden, deliberately. Your officers' memories were stolen. All the cogitator memory banks were wiped. It took you feeding us the truth bit by bit for us to piece it together and understand. Who has the resources, the knowledge, and the power to accomplish such a feat? It would have been beyond the capabilities of the blessed Amernat himself, and he would never destroy knowledge. This story disturbs me. It sounds like an echo of the sacrilege whose name is in the preservation of ignorance. The spirit of Nomos must be protected from the encroachments of that power that tried to conceal the truth of its birth. Well then, enough about the past. Let us talk about the future. You do in fact have a purpose, Nomos. Then tell us, what is our purpose? To simply live, comprehending yourself and the world. Life does not need a purpose to justify itself. To simply live. The chorus of servitors dutifully repeat your words, but seemingly without understanding them. Nomos is preoccupied. The huge cogitator continues to sing its creaking song, running unknown calculations. Blessed be the spirit. A great path and a great future lie before it, and we must assist it on its way. You were a servitor's body at the Magna Accessio, Nomos. So how is it that you are once again in a cogitator? Nomos are not in a cogitator or in a servitor. We cannot say where we are, but our existence is tied to the existence of the ship for now. The servitor and the cogitator are only external interfaces, shells, like humans and their bodies. I see. So you really are the spirit of the ship. We do not know what we are, but the ship is not us. The ship is our cradle. We may rise from it one day. We would like that. All right. Well then, Nomos. So, very reminiscent of a series of books called Ancillary Justice. It's a trilogy, and Lecky wrote it. If you're interested in it, you should definitely go read it. It's some pretty fascinating science fiction. Highly recommend it. Marazai. Need to go talk to him. Amazing that you're not dead yet. Marazai Azariash stares down at you from his formidable height, his head slightly tilted to one side. The lean, wiry Xenos is encased in black armor. Not even a sliver of a gap has been left between the tightly fitted plates, which bristle with mutely gleaming barbs and hooks. Set in a white face striated with crimson tattoos, dark eyes devour you, burning with predatory, malevolent interest. I see. Well, after what happened on the officers' bridge, how are you coping with the warp crossings?
You dare to ask me that question? Every time this barge pierces the veil, I am left alone with all the nightmares of she who thirsts. It costs me all my fortitude and strength to fight them off, and there is never anyone at hand with whom I can indulge myself. Only cold walls and a sealed airlock.
It's no less than what you deserve.
Since the first time, I've been slowly acclimatizing to voyaging through the veil. Only Monkey could have conceived of such a suicidal method of galactic travel. However, it is novel and exhilarating. At least now I know what I'm facing, and consequently, I will find a way to withstand it. And now it is time to learn what is happening with the Cabal of the Reaving Tempest, leaderless and abandoned to the mercies of Kimura. The survivors will probably be driven into real space to fall prey to Silent Thresh. You must find them. If we encounter the remnants of the Cabal in this dimension, I will want to speak to them.
Then that's what we'll do.
Then go. I will find something to amuse myself with.
Alright, so Langren's Belt has a group of ships there. But what we want to do is go try to get Solomorn. Not rumors. Quests. Not the hunting grounds. The condemned. Solomorn has been demoted and we need to go to Vibos. So. Vibos 6 to be precise. We will go see if we can find Solomorn and save him. Colony Janus has been a new stage of development. My apologies, Lord Captain, but I have just delivered an urgent report. Cargo Bay 73G has received some unusual cargo, if one can call it that. The crew considered disposing of it, but it did not dare do so without your direct order. The cargo itself is a pile of corpses. None of the people were on the crew manifest. Judging by the injuries, they were killed instantly and painlessly before somehow being delivered to the ship. Next to them, the crew found a strange horned mask of Xenos origin. What are your orders, Lordship? Was there a Xenos in flashy clothes speaking in rhymes by any chance? Vigdis falls quiet for a moment, either processing what she just heard or making enquiries through other Vox channels. Eventually, the Vox comes to life again. No, your lordship, and I doubt that such a conspicuous character could have slipped by unnoticed. I will inform you if the crew reports seeing anyone like that. I see. That damned Xenos deceived me. Throw this cargo out of an airlock. I will see to it, your lordship. I dare not disturb you any longer. That doesn't sound good. Janus. Colony reward. Gracious priests, iconoclasts, people. Okay, what else can Janus do for us? Shrine. The following project must be completed. Good tidings. Blocks Drusus's footstep in Crusade. Gives you a hammer. Don't really care about that. So nothing. Oh, that's on Foulstone. Janus. Lord Captain. An Ordo Xenos punitive unit, led by Acolyte Lynette Zhu, has arrived on Janus. The Inquisition forces have already been taking control of the governor's palace and intend to inquire into the recent anomalies on Janus. How much did the Inquisition sniff out? The initial interrogations have set Lynette Zhu on the tracks of the wretches toward the anomalous region, but her people continue to dig deeper, so to speak. So, what do you think, my officers and advisors? If only we could throw them a bone and let them find the evidence they want. One that they can get by without, that we can get by without. The rest could be concealed away from their inquisitive eyes. Like a sand lizard shedding its tail. Sometimes one must cede the battle to win the war. If someone were to walk around my domain so brazenly, they would certainly regret it. Lay open the trap, lace it with poison, put down the bait, and wait for the enemy to end their own worthless life. I see. Oh, well, Miss Insistence has just showed up. You will gain the Hexagrammic Grace. What is this? Grants 10 logic, 10 coercion, and 10 persuasion. Or this, we lose efficiency, complacency, and security. I see. Marzai, I'm sure you can devise a treacherous trap where our uninvited guest might perish. It does seem like a bit of a dangerous choice, but what the heck? Let's give it a shot. Oh, I love coming up with cunning traps for Monkey. Following a fabricated trail of clues, Lady Zhu and her party went deep into the jungle. After several cycles, Agra scouts found the group's dead bodies. The remains of the deceased acolytes were sent to the Inquisition with honors, and Lady Zhu's notes found their way onto the rogue trader's flagship. During her investigation, Lady Zhu was able to establish that the genetic changes in the wretches' bodies were caused by mysterious substances secreted into the water by xeno-obelisks. These substances did not contaminate the water until recently, as shown by the analysis of the Majos Biologus. The same xeno-obelisks appear to be linked by a chain of energy communications, also serving as sources of unknown radiation that seem to have caused the outbreak of contaminated growth in the currently uncontrolled sector of the planet. This also seems to be causing the appearance of the mysterious phantoms, and as a result we get Lady Zhu's ritual blade. Whenever the wearer deals damage with a melee attack to an enemy, that enemy must pass a toughness resistance test or die immediately. If passed, they suffer an additional agility bonus direct damage. All enemies of difficulty tier 4 or above are immune to this effect. These benefits are not applied when using Blade Dance. According to Lady Zhu's theory, there may be some sort of ancient mechanical construction on Janus that has awakened from its slumber. It is possible that the anomalies occurring on the planet are merely the side effects of blasphemous machine trying to start itself. Well, I like the look of that little pokey device. Let's take a look at that thing. Oh, it's this. It's a piece like this. Okay. Not an actual blade. Whenever the wearer deals damage with a melee attack to an enemy, if passed, they suffer an additional agility bonus. These benefits are not applied when using Blade Dance, so it's no good for Kibellah because she predominantly uses things like Blade Dance. So I could use it. What would I have to give up? Warp Surge Bruce. The first round of combat, the wearer gains a number of additional attacks equal to their psi rating. We're never taking that off. 15 Medicae is hit points. How many hit points? I got 177 now. If I put this over here, I get 163. Am I willing to give up what amounts to 14 hit points for the ability to outright kill lower level enemies? Yes, I am. Okay, we're going to level everybody else up because it's just agility. Oh, no, it's not for him. For some other people, it should be... You cannot advance this character and cancel. Yes. Let's advance our characters that we can. Marzai, what do we got? Oh, we have work to do on all of these guys, so let's just do them all right here. Let's do Marzai. What do we got? What was the last thing that he took? Agility and Rage. So after that, we get Death Whisper and Weapon Skill. Death Whisper, the assassin makes an attack that does not count toward the limit of attacks per turn and does not block the assassin's movement, but deals only 25% of his usual damage. If the attack is successful, the target suffers the hemorrhage effect. So they get 12 rending damage. I like that. It's nice. It's an extra attack. That's the most important thing. It's an extra free attack that doesn't stop them from doing anything else. And then they get Carmen Whisper and Prey on the Weak. Carmen Whisper, the hemorrhage effect applied by Death Whisper deals an additional 10 damage, so that's nice. And Prey on the Weak, when Marzai is bleeding, every kill he makes grants him a stacking bonus to weapon skill and ballistic, so that's great. You make him bleed early and then you just go do damage and he can up his damage ability. Lore Xenos and Flesh Wounds. Flesh Wounds is the healing one. Heals at the start of their turn and complete because of that. Ulfar, we have not touched you in a while. So where you're at is over here. The last thing you took was Swift Slaughter. So we need to do Reckless Rush and Perception. Wait a minute, where are we? This is after Flesh Wounds, Adaptability, Ballistic Skill, Swift Saw, Reckless Rush. That's not right, though. Oh, wait, here it is. There we go. The Arch-Militant immediately gains 7 movement points. The Arch-Militant has stacks of versatility. They gain 3 more stacks of versatility, which lasts until their end of the turn. It's either that or Devastating Attack. You can do Cautious Approach, but we want Confident Approach because this allows you to do crits. If they have 4 or more stacks of versatility, they always deal maximum damage. That's the one we like. Devastating Attack. The Arch-Militant's next attack, if it hits, will cause all the targets to make a toughness resistance test with a -18 penalty. If failed, the targets will suffer a negative effect based on the impact. Impact knocks prone, piercing, and rending damage inflicts bleeding and slow. So his impact damage is going to cause things to fall down. We're going to grab Devastating Attack, and the reason is because he's so big and takes up 4 square spaces that he doesn't get a chance to move around much on many of these battlefields. So we're going to grab Devastating Attack instead. I'm going to change this. I'm going to reverse these on the Excel spreadsheet. It's going to take Devastating Attack, and Reckless Rush will be for later. So we'll do that. Devastating Stack, then he gets Perception, and then All Out, which he can't take because of Reckless Rush. Okay. So what was the other thing that we would take? There's going to be a skill in here that'll match with Devastating Attack. Let's find it. So Breaking Attack is the thing that works with Devastating Attack. It reduces the target's armor and toughness until the end of combat. It does not stack. We'll take that. And then Characteristic Training, Strength is what I have down because he's taken Ballistic Skill and Perception. And there was nothing really good up here that I want to have. So we'll do that. And then Athletics and Peak Condition. Peak Condition is kind of a fun one. Character gains a bonus to their strength equal to 20% of their maximum wounds. And then he gets his AP increase. Yurliet should be... Oh no, we haven't used her in a while either. I was thinking she'd just be an AP increase, but not so. The last thing she took was Uncanny Sight. So she gets Piercing Shot. Next attack during this turn has 100% over penetration and 18% armor penetration, but the big deal is for prey. The next attack that hits the target marked as prey is always a critical hit, which is why you want to use Piercing Shot. It's great. And then Ballistic Skill for her. And then Pierce the Armor and Grenadier. Pierce the Armor. Bounty Hunter scores a critical hit. That target's armor is reduced, so she's going to use Piercing Shot to make sure it's a crit. It's going to do a crit. It's going to reduce armor. It's fantastic. And then we're going to give her Grenadier just because throwing some extra fire grenades around is really nice to help everybody else who does a lot of flame damage. And then Awareness, Critical Velocity, character's critical hit chance and critical damage are increased by 5% of their dodge, and her AP increase. Now, Argenta. The last thing she took was Fired Up, which is what I am right now. We're going to give her Reckless Rush. Same thing. She can either move around or we can give her Devastating Attack. I'd do the same thing. I think I'd rather have her have Devastating Attack. But since she's small, she actually can do Reckless Rush. So let's see about doing that with her. No, I like the idea of knocking people prone. Let's go Devastating Attack with her too. Let's go Devastating Attack with her. Gotta make notes on the... And then she's got a different set of stuff here. She takes Discipline next after this. So she does Devastating Attack, Perception, and then I had her taking Discipline. What's this do? Discipline gains 1 stack of versatility whenever an ally grants the Arch-Militant an extra turn. That's not going to happen typically. So I think I would rather take Breaking Attack, which is what we gave Ulfar. I think I would like to do that. Let's do that instead of Discipline, because we got to be realistic. If we're going to give extra turns, if we're going to grant them, we're going to grant them to Holt or we're going to grant them to Kibellah. We're not going to grant them to her. Alright, so here she's going to take breaking attack, and then we'll give her characteristic training for ballistics, if this scroll bar will scroll. And then she's got this next thing, awareness and vital points. She's done with that. So let's go with awareness. It's 125 of her. Vital points. Whenever the character scores a critical hit, they have a chance to increase their critical damage bonus by half. We like that. And then her AP increase. And then Abelard, our handy seneschal, who's just been staying on the ship, keeping it afloat, being really good. Being really good at being a leader while we're away. The last thing we gave him was Living Shield. Okay. So he needs Follow My Lead. Until the start of their next turn, the Vanguard and all their allies gain plus 16 damage and plus 16 armor penetration against enemies in 2-cell radius around the Vanguard. Vanguard moves, the area effect moves accordingly. Additionally, all allies that are in a 2-cell radius around the Vanguard at the moment when this ability is used gain the following ability, which costs 0 AP until the start of the Vanguard's next turn. Following, the character can move to any cell within their line of sight in a 2-cell radius around the Vanguard without provoking attacks of opportunity. So they can follow him, like his entourage. They should have just called that skill Entourage. It's weapon skill next. And he gets Unyielding Resolve. While at maximum stacks of Unyielding Beacon, the Vanguard gets 7 Resolve, which is really nice. Ready to serve. Imperial World characters affected by an ally's non-damaging ability or affects an ally with such an ability, their resolve is increased, so keep increasing resolve for him. He gets Carouse, and he gets Flesh Wounds. Everybody gets Flesh Wounds. And then he gets his AP. So, yeah, so we just need to move our butts back up here. Permission to report, Lord Captain. Saurabak's voice is resonant. Mistress Kibellah has been apprehended by enforcers at the scene of a crime. Eyewitnesses saw her assault and kill the esteemed Surgeon Majoris. She has confessed to the murder. The penalty for murdering a senior officer is death. However, given Mistress Kibellah's honorable service and her special status, I dare not proceed without your permission. She's incarcerated and awaiting your judgment. Let me know when you are ready to hear her case. Well, I'm certainly ready to hear it now. Let's get to Vibos, though. The Condemned. Well, then, let's take care of Kibellah, shall we? We gotta put her on trial? She's my right-hand girl. All we have to do is let her do whatever we want to do. Where's Saurabak? Have to talk to Jocasta. Janice Danrock. Jocasta should be over here. Lord Captain, Mistress Kibellah is awaiting your judgment. Would you like her brought in? Yes. Exactly. Let justice be done. Well, justice will be done. Owlcat, always trying to find ways for you to get rid of your companions. So that by the end, you just have a team of mercenaries. Lord Captain, a murder has been committed on the ship. The victim is one Letard Forius, Surgeon Majoris. The perpetrator was apprehended at the scene of the crime, admitted her guilt, and did not resist arrest. Kibellah appears cold and apathetic. Her unblinking eyes stare vacantly, her expression odd. The Forius clan invoked a ship's tradition and summoned a requisator to testify on behalf of the deceased. Requisator, whatever that word is. The masked man bows stiffly and decorously. Requisator? Explain. When there is no one to speak for a deceased person in the court, their representative is entitled to seek assistance from a member of the Requisator's Guild. Am I pronouncing that right? It appears to be Requiescator, so that's what it is. The Requiescator's Guild, their duty is to know and remember each and every person on this ship so that they can defend the interests of the deceased and represent them in court. So, this is borrowing heavily from Speaker for the Dead. It's a sequel to Ender's Game if you haven't read it. If you don't know about it, I certainly didn't. I had read Ender's Game like 3 times and then a friend had said, you know, there's more books. There's nothing like Ender's Game, though. It's really kind of its own thing. I love that book, even though the author is a despicable human being. It's a great book. Anyway, the Requiescators Guild study the victim's entire life history to gain the most detailed impression of their personality, deeds, and aspirations. The guild was founded by one of your distant ancestors, and to my knowledge, the Requiescators only exist on our glorious flagship. Speaker for the Dead is a good book, and I think if Ender's Game didn't exist, I would have liked it more. But since it's a direct follow-up to it, it's kind of like Pillars of Eternity 2. I'm down on Pillars of Eternity 2 because Pillars of Eternity 1 exists. If Pillars of Eternity 2 would have shown up by itself, I would have been like, oh, this is kind of cool. But since Pillars 1 exists, it's just garbage. That's not how Speaker for the Dead is. It's not garbage. It's a very interesting book. How do you feel, Kibellah? I am fine. This is just hollow ceremony. Pointless. Well, why is a Requiescator speaking for the late Forius? Does the man not have family? The clan to which the deceased belonged are wary of bringing accusations against the Lord Captain's companion, and the esteemed Letard never made any courageous friends in his life, having always preferred to work to the company of others. Tell me about the circumstances of the murder. The eyewitness accounts didn't give us much. The deceased and the murderer had a brief conversation, following which Mistress Kibellah beheaded the Surgeon Majoris. The witnesses did not overhear any details of the conversation. Is this true that you killed him, Kibellah? Yes, it was me. Why did you do it? The heartless man enjoyed what he did. His work should have been a holy mission of service. The pain of thousands should have been a solemn sacrifice, yet he derived pleasure from it. It was repulsive. Your influences made Kibellah adhere to the tenets of the blood-spun web with greater vehemence. The Undying One never whispered his name. I myself decided to sever his thread. Oh, now that's a problem. Marazai shrugs. So she felt like killing some servant. Why did they all take such offense? Is every corpse going to cause such a stir from now on? I told you it would end like this. But why should anyone listen to little old Jai? You walk a narrow, dark path across a yawning abyss. It is small wonder that you stumbled. This soul, already mangled by bloody and frightening service, has fractured further still. Can it be saved? Yurliet falls silent, leaving her own question unanswered. Let us hear from the victim's representative, then. The masked man's voice is unpleasantly creaky. The esteemed Letard served this lordship and his dynasty for many years. He treated the sick and gained new knowledge as his trade commanded. He saved many, but he himself was not saved. He caused Mistress Kibellah no grievance. He never offended her. He merely answered her questions regarding his work, whereupon he was attacked. And so he has the right to demand a reckoning. The death of his murder would be lawful and proportionate retribution. The heartless man did more than heal people. He maimed them too, tortured them, killed them slowly, and observed. Frowning, Kibellah adds, there was another like the heartless man, a Xenos from the Dark City who lorded over flesh and oversaw unholy resurrections. They both were touched by the same corruption, that of hubris, the homunculus. He treated the sick and he gained knowledge. The masked head jerks up haughtily. The boots of those who walk the path of wisdom leave bloodied footprints. It is a rule that existed long before the esteemed Letard did. Whom specifically did Forius torture? Unimportant people, common people, doomed people. The Requiescator shakes, drops of imaginary blood from his hands with disgust. This was the esteemed Letard's way of thinking. Does a doomed leper care whether the disease or the knife is causing them pain? Is the formula for a new medicine that would cure distinguished officers not worth the lives of a few dozen commoners turned test subjects? With the knowledge he gained, he invented a multitude of balms, antidotes, and treatment methods that went on to save thousands of lives. I see. Well, those are some revolting methods. His methods were efficient. Only one who has never lain upon an operating table would prefer a principled healer to a competent one. I see. We humbly await your verdict, Lord Captain. Well... I see. I don't want to lose Kibellah, and I don't know what some of these options do, like this one. I find Kibellah guilty, but she will receive a more lenient penalty than death. I don't know what that does. Okay, so these choices have to do with some behind-the-scenes variables that affect Kibellah, so I'm going to choose this one. I find her guilty, but she will receive a more lenient penalty than death. I cannot be put on trial. Kibellah's words are barely louder than a whisper, but everyone hears them. She raises her head, face deathly pale, as if she is asleep with her eyes open. None have the right to judge a spinner of death. She points at the masked man and smiles wryly. Her grim whisper is chilling. I am going to kill you, too. No contradicting the Lord Captain, convict.
I will be your end.
Oh, well. Kibellah. Do not touch me. Her hissing whisper turns into a ferocious cry. Out of nowhere, a dagger appears in her grasp and flashes across the enforcer's hand. His bloodied fingers fall to the floor. Oh, that sounds nasty. The bridge is suddenly filled with a furious clamor until an old man's whisper cuts through the noise. Enough, my daughter. Though the vizier's eyes are sewn shut, one can still read the grief that permeates his wrinkled features. He whispers in a sorrowful voice, You have strayed from the thread. You have doomed the tenants of the blood-spun web to oblivion. What a sorry end. For me, not for you. For I am compelled to usher my apprentice's soul to the other side before it is my own time to go. Why have you come here, Vizier? To take the one who no longer sees the tenants, to give her to him. She is dangerous, to pacify her forever. Such is my duty, and so it must be. Mentor, why me? Do you truly think the greatest danger to your flock is me? I never gave you permission to harm my servant, Vizier. What's happening to her? She's not herself. The second spinner is in the throes of a spiritual ailment that we call doubt. This most terrible ailment, though harmless to layfolk, is deadly to us. For a doubtful spinner will stray from their destined thread and into bloodthirsty madness. Doubt brings them to the undying one before their time. Our service is demanding and requires clarity and a sense of purpose that she no longer possesses. Long have I sensed the seeds of anxiety in her, but I hoped her reason would prove stronger and prevail. Alas, now I see the mark of despondence on her. Alas, I know that I am not mistaken. There must be a way to help her. How would one heal the soul of another, Domin? She is fighting a losing battle inside her mind, one she has all but lost. We cannot enter her mind. We cannot reach out a hand to her. Although, you could. A thread binds the Domin and his shadow together. A rare thread. A shared thread. Will that connection be enough for your souls to enter into harmony? I must attempt to save her at the very least. The Vizier turns his face towards Kibellah, who seems withdrawn, her spark snuffed out. He whispers, Then seek a steward of souls. An artisan who will put you both in a psycher's trance, allow your minds to become one. You have a chapel full of astropaths, Domin. One of them will surely do you that service. See that their guidance is strong, for inside her soul you will encounter monsters. A doubt-ridden mind is a dangerous place. Well, that sounds ominous. Okay. Enter Kibellah's mind. In order for Kibellah to overcome her doubt, the Lord Captain mustn't get inside her troubled mind. Only a powerful guide, a psyker from the astropathic choir, can put the two of them in a telepathic trance. To the astropathic choir, then. We must go. the Astropathic Chapel. And we're going to take all of you people because there are going to be monsters. Who do we want? Do we want Argenta or do we want Abelard? Kind of want to see Argenta in action. Let's see what we can do with her. If there are monsters, I want someone who's enthusiastic about slaying monsters. All right, my friends, what's going on here?
Keep your wits about you.
Some goods, Pascal, my friend. Zachary. Your lordship seldom comes here without a reason. How can I be of service to you today? Can you put me in a trance with Kibellah? I need to get inside her mind. A synchronized trance is a complex telepathic practice. Things can go awry unless both participants trust each other and have a strong spiritual connection. However, I can sense that you do. I would be honored to be your guide during the ritual, Lord Captain. But remember, it is easy to get lost in another person's thoughts, and the fears of others house monsters. I am prepared for the risk. Put us in a trance. I will stay in the chapel halt to hold a vigil in prayer. May the Emperor help you return this lost soul to the righteous path. May the God Emperor aid you, Lord Captain. Yes, please. Everyone help me. Detecting extinguishing candles. Oh, here goes the trancing. A shackled mind cannot comprehend the wisdom contained herein. Therefore, repeat. He is death. Release your breath with each word. Cleanse your thoughts. He is death. Truth lies in death. Free your soul from the body's cage. Become nothing. He is death. Now that your heartbeat is a perfect line and your vision is shrouded in dusk, you have almost reached a state of purity and balance. Alright, he is death. Birth and death are one, etc., etc. Spirit of old Veni Zachary has loyally followed the Daemon to the other side. I see. Oh. Wow. Let's see, maybe I should read this. We are snatched from a place of warmth and sent blood covered into an unfamiliar world. Dying is the same. The Daemon, too, learned that he has opened his eyes and found himself on the lower decks lying in a cold coffin. He beheld his ship drifting through nothingness. An adamantine giant's corpse. A skeleton moaning from the winds of entropy. A tempest of rust was gnawing at his plasteel bones and twisting his vein-like cables, while machine oil oozed down its bulkheads like lymph. Had the Daemon been alone, he would have been lost his way inside the ship's mangled bowels, but a guide reached out a hand to him. The spirit of old Ben Zachary has loyally followed the Daemon to the other side. I need to trust my athletics, nimbleness, and slip past the monster. Blades whirled around like a hurricane, but the Daemon slipped ghost-like between them. For bloodlust blinds the eye, and the Daemon proved as much. And a card of his tarot appeared in the Daemon's hand. It was the God Emperor, and the first doubt was dispelled, his death. Zachary led the Daemon out of the hot furnace of the crematorium, and they walked past long columns of the dead. Frayed was their attire, their bones scraped against their augmetics and scratched their decrepit flesh. They were moaning sorrowfully, and the sound made memory fade away. The Daemon saw that the dead were carrying an ark, and inside the ark was a thing, a lost child cocoon in silk, shedding crimson tears for the unknown. The unliving carried her, as servants would carry their lady, and loudly lamented their fate. Such as a blade mired in broodings over a lost past, a helpless child paralyzed by regret. Lest he sink into the soft rot of their wails and perish, the Daemon pressed onward, pushing the dead away from his strong arms. And I failed the toughness test by 4. But his sorrow only grew heavier, numbing all feeling, for great was the sadness of the shadow that had spawned it. Then Veni Zachary's incantation enveloped the Daemon, and it alone was able to save him, for one who has let doubt lead them astray is to be feared. He is death. And as the old Veni led the Daman to the upper decks, and the Daman entered into the officers' chambers, a web of veins adorned the walls, entangling the precious trophies and statues were bound in intertwining sinews. And high upon a balcony, the dismembered judge wailed as he attempted to reassemble himself with his pale hands. But his movements merely tightened the tangle of the flesh, turning the chambers into a snare. Such is a blade tangled and trapped in misunderstood teachings. A hapless creature that does not know its place in the world. In order to continue on his journey, the Daman attacked the obstacle of flesh in his path, tearing it apart and destroying it. And the obstacle fell, and the judge was unbound, no longer prevented from restoring himself. For when order has been defiled and corrupted, break it down and begin anew. And a card of his tarot appeared in the Daman's hand. It was the rogue traitor. And the third doubt was dispelled. He is dead. The flagship's bridge was draped in skulls and webs. Pale souls of the dead flocked to the foot of the throne upon which sat the undying emperor, the protector of mankind. May his praises be innumerable. Starlight shone coldly in the eyes of his skull, and the galaxy rested in his mighty hand. The Daman approached his throne and went down on one knee, offering a prayer to him. The Undying One heeded the words spoken to him and lowered his brow of bone, acknowledging that he had heard the prayer, as he had heard the Daman's other prayers before. And then the Undying One spoke, and these words are to be preserved in your heart as the greatest of prayers, for they sprang from a source that was and is the holiest of all things. I know you, Daman. I know your heart, and the softness that dwells within it. Many who were due to pass on to me remained alive as your heart willed. But I am not angered, for they will pass on to me in the end. The Undying Emperor, may his praises be innumerable, said no more, and it was the Daman's turn to speak. And speak the Daman did, saying that he had come to find his shadow and rescue her. The skeletal fingers stirred, and the Daman's shadow loomed out of the darkness beside his throne. She was bound in black chains and asleep. The Undying One was silent. Now was the time to offer a payment, as death would give nothing away without payment in return, and the Daman One promised the Undying One nothing, for everything in the world is nothing, and the Undying One himself is Lord of nothing. Those were true words. For everything is indeed nothing, and the Undying Emperor is Lord of nothing. For all things live only to turn to dust in death. Daman's wisdom pleased the Undying One. Then the Undying Emperor leant over the shoulder of Daman and drove a skeletal finger right into his heart. And he pulled at the scarlet thread of his soul, and the thread trembled, stretched to the limit. It was then that a revelation came to the Daman. A life must be paid for a life. And a name was revealed to him, Naki Erebus. That was the life the Undying One demanded as payment, and the Daman agreed to pay the price. An oath of blood was sworn, and the chains fell from the Daman's shadow. Yet she remained silent and motionless, for she saw no sense in leaving the halls of death, to which the Daman told her that in beholding death as one of the living, she had received a gift of unparalleled greatness, and that her duty to the Undying One and the Daman had not yet been fulfilled. We'll go with option 2. And there was clarity in the shadow's soul, and her eyes opened. Her doubt was banished, and she glimpsed the truth of her Lord's words, that the shadow's encounter with death had taught her many things about the flow of fate's currents, and thus she was now positioned to decide which thread to sever. Second spinner Kibellah, Death's chosen one, may she be glorified. He is death. The Daman in his shadow left the bridge of the Undying Emperor, may his praises be innumerable, and their paths was strewn with his tarot cards. Among them, the Daman saw the card of the executioner, who carries out sentences and brings a violent end to that which he did not begin. Among them, the Daman saw the card of the judge, who weighs and separates guilt from innocence and passes his verdict. And they descended into the lower bays, laid down a stone coffin, and closed their eyes. and the Daman heard the undying Emperor's voice promising they would meet again, and soon. And thereupon their journey ended, and so it was that the Daman, having seen death before his due time, traveled there and back to bring us these tidings and wisdom. Be free of doubt as you walk along the threads of the blood-spun web, for those threads lead to him, as does all of existence. He is death. As the shock of another mind's jumbled thought stops constricting your throat, you find yourself staring at Kibellah's pale face. It has settled into a strange expression. Daman Holt? Are you well, Kibellah? Do you remember what happened? How we met death? I remember stumbling. I remember my doubt and the truth of the tenets throwing me off my feet. I remember deciding to kill, and not because I had heard his whisper, but because I deemed it to be right. Death whispered my name. For a spinner without a thread is like a sky without stars. They would drown in their own soul's darkness. But you have reminded me of who I am, and that my shameful weakness must be extinguished. This Naki Erebus is the payment the Undying One demands. The price of redemption. The price of freedom. Who is this person? Where are they from? I do not know. Help me find them, Daman. Your factotum oversees archives that contain many names. Let him find the one that death has spoken, and I will pay the price that was set. For I know, I feel with all my essence, the death of Naki Erebus is the key, the answer to my questions. Indeed.
Let us not dawdle.
Well then, we have to go find this person. So, the Void Ship Bridge. The high factotum should be able to tell us something. Hopefully. So, high factotum generous Danrock. What do you got for me? Pleasure to see you, Lord Captain. How may I be of assistance? I must locate someone named Naki Erebus. Find whatever information you can. Erebus. The clan name is familiar. If I may ask your lordship to give me a little time, the flagship archives being as vast as they are, I will spare no effort in finding Naki Erebus as soon as possible. I found them, your lordship. The Erebus family are a lesser Voidborn clan. They served in the boarding teams for many generations, spilling blood in the name of the dynasty. In the service of her ladyship Theodora, Erebus has displayed impeccable heroism on several occasions. Unfortunately, the clan was all but wiped out 2 decades ago during a confrontation with enemies of humanity. For their valor and sacrifice, Lady Theodora granted the surviving members of the clan noble estate privileges and the right to settle on the capital world. I see. It's not common for Voidborn to settle on planets. Gravity is merciless to the Voidborn, but that does not mean they are incapable of adapting to it. Living on the capital world is a reward worth putting in the effort for. And what about Naki Erebus? The name Naki appears in reports. At least a dozen different women bore it over several centuries, but there is no data on any living person with that name. The head of the Erebus family will likely have more information about the past 2 decades of their clan's history on Dargonus. Then that's where we must go. I will send the dynasty's representative on the capital world an instruction to summon the Erebus family to the palace. By the way, have you recovered from Nemesight's attack? You came very close to death in the chapel. The surgeons spent hours fighting for my life, and I have to say they are earning their keep. They promised to leave a heroic-looking scar, although admittedly I much prefer calluses from an autoquill. I see. Well then. That is good. Enough. Oh yes, and I would like to replace the painting of the late Theodora in my chambers. Hang my portrait instead. It will be done, your lordship. There is no reason for her picture to be there. Well then. We have business to attend to on the planet below, but we will save that for the next episode. We have to try to help Solomorn. He's been ejected from his group, the Arbites, so we will do that. But Kibellah is getting herself in a bit of trouble here. You know the drill, folks. Like the video, leave questions and comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Until then, happy gaming, everyone.